Alright, so this is the 1-2 notes. A couple of things that you need to know. A line segment, that's a section of a line that has two endpoints. So to be able to identify a line segment, you usually have two dots on here, and this would be line segment AB. Alright, congruent, two figures are congruent if and only if they have the same size and same shape, which we will get to this in a second. What you really need to know though is this segment addition postulate. So if M is between P and Q, then PM plus MQ is equal to PQ. So I'm going to show you what that means over here. So it says if PM, so the length of PM, this piece right here, if I add that to the length of MQ, so this piece right here, then what I have is this entire thing, PQ. So that's all of this. That's all it means. The easiest way to remember this is part plus part is equal to whole. Alright, you can mark out these words, midpoint, bisect, because those are just randomly there for something else. We'll get back to that later. Next little piece says on line AC, AB is equal to BC, and that is equal to 3 centimeters. So in my picture, this is 3 centimeters, and this is 3 centimeters. It says we can say that the segments are congruent segments, or another thing we can conclude from that picture is that B is the midpoint. So that just tells you that because those two pieces are equal, then that point in the middle is the midpoint. Slashes on the figure indicate which segments are congruent. So whenever you look over here at the picture, this little slash and that slash tell us those two pieces are congruent. Okay, so we're going to do a couple examples. It says find the measurement of each segment. Assume that each figure is not drawn to scale. Okay, so here for the first one, for RT, RT is equal to RS plus ST. So that's equal to 2 centimeters plus 2.5 centimeters. And that's equal to, I forgot centimeters. And so when you add that up, you can conclude that RT is equal to 4.5 centimeters. Just don't forget the units. And again, you can always pause, rewind this if I go too fast. Alright, number 2 is a little bit different because we have the whole thing in a part. So BC is equal to AC minus that AB. Okay, so BC is equivalent to 6 inches minus 2 3/4 inches. Alright, and so I have kids that asked a couple questions about this, if they could leave it in decimal form, if they can do it in a fraction, how do they solve this problem? And the answer to that is whatever format they give it to you in the question is the format that your answer has to be in. So for number 2, since it's in fraction form, you have to have your answer in fraction form. Now, if you decide to put it in a calculator a different way, that's completely fine, but just know that you have to have it in fraction form for your final answer. Alright, so whenever you type this in, 2 3/4, that's 2.75. 6 minus that will give you 3 1/4, so 3 1/4 inches. Okay, I'm going to skip number 3 because all you're doing is an easy one, 3/2 plus 3/4 is all you have to do there. Number 4 though, this one's a little bit different. Okay, so I know the whole thing and I know these two pieces are congruent. So what that tells me is X is the midpoint. What I have to determine though is what is the length of WX. Alright, well since they already have the letters W, X, and Y, I'm going to use the variable A to represent these two congruent pieces. So Wx represents A and then xy represents A. Now I can do my part plus part equals whole because I know that Wx plus xy is equal to Wy. So I know A plus A is going to equal to 6 centimeters. Well, A plus A is 2A is equal to 6 centimeters. So A will just be equal to 3 centimeters. Now, that's not your answer because I didn't ask what A was equal to. I asked what is Wx equal to. So Wx is equal to 3 centimeters. I had some kids say, well, I just divided 6 by 2. That's completely okay also. All right, and you on your paper only have 5 and 6. So here we go. It says find the value of x and rs. So make sure you read the question very carefully. There's two things I have to find. If s is between r and t. So I'm going to draw a picture here. It tells me s is in between r and t. Okay, I know rs is 5x, I know st is 3x, and I know rt is 48. So this whole thing here is 48. All right, so I know that rs plus st is equal to RT. So I know 5x plus 3x is equal to 48. So I know 8x is equal to 48. So I know x is equal to 6. Now that's only half the question because it's also asking what is the value of rs. Well, rs is 5 times 6, so rs is equal to 30. And there's no units on here, so you can leave it blank or you can write units if you like to write the word units. All right, number 6. So again, we know it tells us what s is between r and t. Yes, s is in between r and t. So I'm going to draw my diagram again. Okay, so r, s is somewhere in between here. Here's t. rs is 2x, st is 5x plus 4, and what is the length of the entire thing? 32. Okay, so this whole thing here is 32. All right, so part plus part equals whole. So again, I know rs plus st is equal to rt. So I know 2x plus 5x plus 4 is equal to 32. So 7x plus 4 is equal to 32. So 7x equals 28. So x would just equal to 4. And again, that's half of it. The other half that you have to do is figure out what rs is equal to. Rs is 2x, so 2 times 4 will give us 8. So rs is equal to 8. And again, I know that I'm writing this stuff down fast. You can always pause it, rewind it, watch it as many times as you need to. Okay, you don't have 7 or 8, so the last two determine whether each pair of segments is congruent. So here for AB, I have AB, which is 5 centimeters, and I have CD, which is 5 centimeters. So since the measurements are equal, then I know that these two segments are congruent. Okay, for number 10, XY, so I'm looking here at XY, and the other one that I'm looking at is YZ. Okay, so even though you may conclude that those two pieces are not congruent because there's not a little slash on YZ, we still have to prove it. So there's a huge difference between concluding and proving. In geometry, we're going to be proving a lot of stuff. So in order to prove that those two pieces are not congruent, we have to find the value of x. To do that, we have to set these two pieces equal to each other. So 3x plus 5 is equal to 5x minus 1. Alright, I can take my 3x away, move my smaller x, so I have 5 is equal to 2x minus 1. Add 1 on both sides, so that will give me 6 is equal to 2x, so x is equal to 3. Now, just because x equals 3 doesn't tell me anything. I have to plug that value back in to both sides and see if they are congruent. So over here, for my xy, I have 3 times 3 plus 5. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 plus 5 will give me 14. So this piece right here is equivalent to 14. So if the bottom piece, my yz, if that is 14, then this will work. If not, then it won't work. So we have 9 times 3 divided by 2. 9 times 3 gives me 27. And we know 27 divided by 2 will not give me 14. All right, so with that conclusion, with that proof, we just proved that those two pieces are not equivalent. Therefore, these two pieces, x, y, and y, z, are not congruent. So the answer here is no. All right, and that's it for those notes.